Columbia. This is the Spit Sports Show. Now, as always, this is a very exciting episode for me, but this one in particular because this is the first time that I actually get to discuss basketball on this show. Now, I'm probably just as big of a basketball fan as I'm a football fan, but because it's late August, the NBA has been dead recently in terms of stories. I just haven't had that much to talk about. It's all football right now. The season's coming up in a couple weeks. But fortunately for me, that changed a couple days ago. So James Harden right now was or maybe still is in China. He goes once a year. They absolutely love him there. I saw a drone shot of him walking the street, and it looks like a bunch of ants surrounding a piece of food. Kobe was the same way there. They love basketball out there. At one of the camps he was running, Harden had an absolute bombshell of a quote, making his future with the 76ers very clear, uncomfortably clear. He said, and quote, "Daryl Morey is a liar, the GM of the Sixers, and I will never play for an organization that he is a part of." End quote. He then said it again for the people in the back. So obviously, when I heard this quote, my first reaction was, ugh, here we go again. Harden goes to his dream destination for a year. He's happy. His teammates love him. He puts up superstar numbers in the regular season. Last year, he led the league in assists, played well, and then chokes in the playoffs, blames everyone but himself, and quits his way out by either getting fat or making the environment around himself so toxic that the team can't have him around anymore. He's done this 3 different times now. And to be honest, I have no respect for James Harden's off-the-court decisions. He has completely lost the benefit of the doubt in my eyes because at the end of the day, the NBA is just like any other paid salary job in America. You sign a contract, you fulfill your duties of that contract, and then when that contract is up, you can either renegotiate a new deal or move on to another employer who you feel values you more. But with Harden, he just quits. And because he's a superstar, he can pout his way out of spots, and the teams have no choice but to trade him to the team he wants to go to. Because no team wants to trade for an unhappy superstar. And he always makes it crystal clear of the teams he wants to go to. But this situation is different, and I think infinitely more fascinating. Harden is 33 years old now, and he is an old 33. Remember how I said I have no respect for his off-court decisions? That's not just from the way he handles his business in the NBA. He does not take very good care of himself during the season, and especially in the offseason. Every time I open up Instagram, I see him partying with a little baby or on a yacht drinking cocktails. On the court, his body looks worse than it ever has. He's got a bit of a gut, and he's never committed to the weightlifting, cold plunges, heat, all that stuff that's made someone like LeBron, basically indestructible for the first 17 years of his career. Harden obviously spends countless hours in the gym. You can't be as skilled as him and not be a gym rat, but the other stuff outside of the game that extends your prime, he hasn't committed to. He hasn't done. And with that, his trade value is not the same as it used to be at all. Harden has made it clear he wants to go to either the Clippers or the Rockets this offseason. And if this was even 2 years ago, the Clippers, who might be the most win-now mode team in the NBA, with their 2 stars being Glass-Knees Kawhi and Patella P, they would be offering an arm and a leg and probably a couple of toes for Harden if this was a few years ago. But according to most reports, the Clippers weren't willing to get rid of significant assets to acquire Harden. It was clearly little enough that Daryl Morey refused to take the deal, even with Harden wanting out and clearly being frustrated with not just the organization, but Daryl Morey as a person. With all that, he still held on to Harden. If the Clippers would have offered something even halfway decent, Harden would be on his way to LA right now. The Rockets don't want him because they want to see their young guys develop with the ball in their hands, especially Jalen Green and that Thompson twin they just drafted. I think Sengun is also an interesting player for them. You don't want a ball-centric, non-leader like Harden coming into that culture. And with that, James Harden and Daryl Morey are in the ultimate game of NBA chicken. Who is going to blink first? Is Harden finally going to make enough noise and fuss? And he finally just says, I don't care what Daryl Morey just says, I don't care what I get for him. I just can't stand to have him here and just trades him. Or does Harden finally suck it up and realize Philly is his best chance to win playoff games right now, which is the only thing that can increase his legacy at this point in his career? I think The former is definitely more likely than the latter. If Harden comes crawling back to the Sixers after calling Daryl Morey a liar and saying he will never play for that organization again, then that makes him a liar in the court of public opinion. And I don't think his pride can take that. So, in all likelihood, he gets traded. To where? I don't know. And that's what makes this so interesting for me. I don't see a team in the league right now that A, would want a player like Harden on their team, or B, is a place Harden would be happy to be playing in. Of course, the Wizards would take him just to sell some tickets, but do you think Harden would give the Wizards his all? Of course not. So that got me really thinking about what Harden's next move could possibly be. So let's look at what his actions and words say he wants. He obviously wants money, a lot of it. The whole Philly feud started because they wouldn't offer Harden the max, and he felt insulted. So clearly, money is a big factor, if not the biggest factor. He lives a luxurious lifestyle, and there's nothing wrong with that when you've got the bread for it. But you do need to support that lifestyle with big time checks. The other thing he wants is the ball in his hands, which is another factor of why his situation with the Sixers isn't working. I'll never forget what he said after game 1 of the Boston series last year when he dropped 50 and looked like Houston James all over again. He said at the post-game press conference, quote, "What the 76ers expected me to do throughout the course of the season was to be a facilitator, get Joel the basketball, and score when necessary. It's not that I'm not capable of doing it. This is my role for the team." He still believes he can be that 30-point per game scorer he used to be with the ball in his hands. And I think it was annoying him that he had to play a pure point guard role for this team when he still thinks he's got that 2018 scoring machine James Harden in him. So those aren't the only two factors, but they're two of the biggest for sure. So what is a team that can unquestionably give him both of those things? Well, I have a funny feeling that Harden's next basketball team won't be in the NBA. It will be in China. As I said before, he is beloved there. He would be like what Messi is to soccer over here. The unquestioned biggest name in the sport, the face of basketball for a country that has over 1 billion people and loves basketball. They love hoops over there. They love it. They can basically pay him an infinite amount of money to play there. They have the second biggest economy on planet Earth, and their league would obviously be supported by the government, who are extremely committed to sports. Just look at their Olympic teams. They're always good. And he will receive no criticism while he's there. None. Like whether he shoots 20 for 23 or 1 for 19, he will still be cheered on, beloved, appreciated, and paid by the people over there. He still clearly enjoys spending time in China. He clearly enjoys it. He visits there every offseason, hosts camps, films awkward TikToks with the locals. He's clearly got a soft spot for China. Harden's a different kind of cat, man. He's like Kyrie in that way. He doesn't operate the same way that most professional athletes do. And with his situation being as stagnant and toxic as it is now, I'm just saying it would not be the biggest surprise to me if he just takes the money and goes to where he will be happy playing basketball in front of fans who will, no matter what, adore him. Everything that he wants, everything he's been complaining about, is on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, in my opinion. You guys are going to say I'm crazy, but everyone thought it would be crazy for professional golfers to go to a Saudi Arabian golf tour. But if they put up the right amount of money, got the right infrastructure, and they went for it. Everyone thought it was crazy for Messi to go to the States to play MLS soccer. Got the right money, got the right deals. Here he is. It might not be the best league, but it's got everything he needs at this point in his career. I think Harden to China is a real possibility that needs to be considered. And when it happens, it's going to be very, very interesting for his legacy in the NBA, because he's going to be the first to do something like this as a professional basketball player. As always, what did you guys think of the episode? Am I crazy? Am I out of my mind? Is there no chance Harden's going to do this? Am I right on the money? Is this a great idea? Will Harden finally just say, you know what, I need to go overseas to get what I want? Thank you guys as always for watching. The Spit Show comes out every other day. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.